Hello well-wishers, I welcome you all once again to my YouTube channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to talk about Act 1, Scene 2, and mind you, this is part 2 of the video. Part 1, I'll provide you the link in the description box below, and you can also find part 1 in the I button above on the right hand side of your screen flashing. So without much ado, let us begin with our reading of the play. So, where does the scene take place? Remember, Act 1, Scene 2 takes place in a public place in Rome. Now, before we begin with our next part, let us see what are the things that had occurred in part 1 of the video. We saw that the scene begins with the victory parade of Julius Caesar on the streets of Rome. He is accompanied by his friend Antony, his wife Calpurnia, and a group of followers. Now, as they are passing, there is a soothsayer who shouts from the crowd, "Beware the Ides of March," that is the 15th of March. Now, we also see Brutus, who is a nobleman and a friend of Caesar. He enters the scene and he is talking to Cassius. Okay, next we see Cassius, who is attempting to request Brutus to join in the conspiracy to prevent Caesar from becoming a tyrant ruler, that is a cruel ruler. He is also manipulating and brainwashing Brutus by appealing to his sense of honor and his love for the republican form of government. Republican form of government I have explained in Act 1 Scene 1 of the video. You can see the link to that video in the description box below. Now, Cassius also hints that the people of Rome would welcome Brutus as a leader. Brutus at this point also reveals his inner conflict that he is going through. He acknowledges that he has been troubled by his own thoughts about Caesar's rise to power, but he is not sure whether he should take action against his friend or not. So now let us begin with a line-by-line analysis of the play. Now, Brutus over here, remember, is talking to Cassius. So he says that I know that you love me and I am very happy that you love me and you are trying to target my thoughts towards Caesar, but I want this discussion to end right here. I do not want you to persuade me, to request me any further about what should be my course of action. He says, I will with patience here and find a time, both meet, that is you and I both will meet and we will discuss about these things because these are matters of serious importance and they require a lot of time and a lot of thought. So we cannot just casually be discussing about it. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this, that is, be quiet about it, don't discuss it with too many people. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome. That is, he says that I, Brutus, would rather prefer to be a villager than call myself a citizen of Rome under these kind of conditions or these kind of circumstances that are prevailing about the ruler of Rome and all this uncertainty, hatred, shifting loyalty, fickleness of the public opinion. I do not want to be called a citizen of Rome also. That is the amount of disgust he is having at the, ascension of Julius Caesar to the throne. Now to this, Cassius says, I am glad that my weak words have struck but thus much show of fire from Brutus. That is, he feels very happy that whatever little persuasion, whatever little requests he had to make to channelize Brutus's thoughts against Caesar, he has been successful. His words might obviously be weak because Brutus and Caesar were very good friends, but he has been successful. After this, we see that enter Caesar and his train. Now, Brutus says that the games are done and Caesar is returning. That is, remember, there was a game which was being played where Antony had been told that, you're going to run and then make sure that you touch Calpurnia. So that game is now over and all the people who were a witness to it, they are all coming back. To this, Cassius says, as they pass by, pluck Casca by the sleeve and he will, after his Tsar fashion, tell you what had proceeded. That is, when they all are passing by to go back to their respective places, pull out Casca from the crowd so that he can in his own manner tell us what exactly had been happening, which was very important and we should be aware about it for now. So this happens and then Brutus says, I will do so. But look you, Cassius, the angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow. That is, he's saying that whatever has happened does not seem to have been of a favorable nature, especially for Caesar, because from the look on his face, you can understand that he's looking very angry and all the other people who are returning along with him seem to be having an expression as if they have been scolded for something. Calpurnia's face, if you see, it's looking very dull, and Cicero, he is looking like a ferret and such fiery eyes. That is that the eyes of Cicero are reflecting a lot of anger, as if all these people have been crossed in conference. That is, the whatever views they had about something, it seems to have been opposed, or their expectations from whatever events occurred, something reverse has happened from their expectation. Now Cassius says that Casca will tell us what the matter is. He says that don't worry, we'll have Casca who will tell us exactly what had happened. Caesar calls out to Antony, and Antony replies to Caesar that yes, he's coming. A discussion now takes place between Caesar and Antony, and Caesar is trying to outline what are the type of men that he would like to be surrounded by. He says that the men he would be like to be surrounded by are men who are fat, who are sleek headed, that is their hair is well combed, they are well groomed, and they are able to sleep well at night. Now why is he using sleep well at night? Sleep well at night means that a person who does not do anything wrong will obviously be able to have a good night's sleep. Apart from that, he says that when he thinks about, or when he has a look at Cassius, he sees that Cassius is a lean and hungry fellow. That means from his appearance itself, Cassius looks greedy to him. And apart from that, his opinion of Cassius is that he thinks too much, and men of his kind are often dangerous. Now Antony says that don't be scared of Cassius, because he's not at all dangerous. Rather, he's a very noble man, and not just a noble person, but a very noble Roman citizen, and he is well disposed to you, or rather his loyalty towards you is very strong and firm. Apart from this, he continues his analysis of Cassius, saying that Caesar says, I wish that Cassius was fatter, though I have no fear of him, but still I've seen certain things about him which I don't like. That is, he reads too much about the character of people, he observes people a lot, he's got great observation skills, and he looks through, or he observes each and every deed or action of every human beings. He does not love to play or indulge in petty things. He's always thinking too high of himself. On the other hand, Antony enjoys himself, he takes part in other activities also, but Cassius on the other hand does not listen to music. There is very little instances where he has been found smiling, and more than smiling, he is often seen mocking other people or cracking jokes at the expense of other people. So he says that such men as he be never at heart's ease. That is, if this is the kind of appearance that I have observed about people, I also assume that these people are not the ones who've got a very good heart, and therefore he's giving these reasons and saying that these are the reasons why he considers people like Cassius dangerous. Then he says, I rather tell thee what is to be feared than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. Come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf, and tell me truly what thou thinkest of him. And then he's asking to Antony that what do you think of him, because he is not being able to understand, because these are the things in this speech he has analyzed, that why he does not like, or he feels a kind of a threat from Cassius. Now remember, some time back we saw that Brutus and Cassius had actually pulled out Casca to find out what exactly had happened, that all the faces of people were looking dull and dejected. Now Casca is again telling that what happened, why have you pulled me out like this? You've literally pulled me from my uniform, from my coat, my cloak that I'm wearing. What is it so urgent that you want to know from me? So Brutus says that tell us what had chanced today that Caesar looked so sad. What exactly had occurred? What happened at that place, in the street of Rome, a public place, that everyone was looking so sad, including Caesar? Casca says, why? You were with him, were you not? So Casca gets astonished that why is Brutus asking him this question? Technically, Brutus, being the friend of Caesar, should have been there on spot observing all the situation and all the events that were occurring. But then Brutus says, I should not then ask Casca what had chanced. So he does not want to give too much details about why he was not present over there, and he rejects the idea of talking to Casca. So now Casca gives an exact narration of what was happening at that spot where Brutus and Cassius were not there. He says that there was a crown which was basically offered to Julius Caesar the first time, and he rejected taking that crown with the back of his hand, and the very fact that he rejected the crown, what is the purpose? Why has Julius Caesar come to Rome? And the people have, are wanting to have a sight of him because they all want to see the king getting crowned. But over here, obviously, if the king rejects the crown, the people will be shocked. So that is why the people fell a shouting, that all the people started shouting in shock, in amazement. So Brutus says, what was the second noise for then? Because remember, twice the people had shouted. Casca says, why for that too? That is, he says, for that very same reason. So Cassius says that they shouted thrice. Why was the last cry for? So Casca says, why for that too? So basically 3 times the people had shouted, and all the 3 times the reason was the same. That is 3 times. It is a very shocking thing. That is why Brutus and Cassius are constantly asking that why second time the people shouted, why did they shout the third time? Because it is not possible for a king or a ruler to be rejecting the crown. He is technically disrespecting the crown. So they get shocked that Caesar has actually gone to such an extreme of rejecting the crown despite being offered the crown, just to make a public spectacle of the whole situation. Now Brutus gets very, very shocked at this time, says that the crown was offered to Caesar 3 times and all the 3 times he refused. How is it possible? First of all, the very fact that a king is offered a crown 3 times and he rejects it is a very big thing to happen. Now Casca says that by God, Mary, that is, I swear by God Mary, that he put it by thrice, that 3 times he had he had rejected the crown, and he did it in the most gentle manner, that no one would have had any kind of judgment on it, because he was doing it as if the crown did not matter to him. That is the kind of posture, that is the kind of behavior, the attitude that Caesar had towards the crown. So Cassius says, who offered him the crown in the first place, that he's got the audacity to reject it 3 times? So Casca says, why? It's his own friend Antony who was going on doing this thing in front of the crowd of offering the crown. So Brutus now gets more curious and asks Casca to give more details about the whole scenario. Tell us the manner of it, give us more details about what is the exact way in which it happened. Now you need to be very, very alert and see how in a funny manner Casca is going to narrate the whole incident. Towards the end, it gets really funny. He says that it's easier for me to be hanged rather than to actually tell you what exactly happened, but still I'll tell you, though it was a very foolish thing for Caesar to do, but Mark Antony offered him the crown, and it was not actually a crown that was offered, but it was a crown made out of a garland of flowers, and that is what was being offered to him. And each time that he was being offered, the first time that he was offered, he wanted to accept it, but then just for the sake of the crowd, he rejected it. The second time, he was still very, much wanting to have it, but then, to get more cheer from the crowd, to build up more energy in the whole situation, in the atmosphere, he rejected it, and then he hated himself that, why did he reject it the second time? And then again, a third time he was given, and the rabblement or the cheer of the crowd was, yes, very high. The energy was very high, because remember, the crowd, the commoners who were cheering for Caesar, were actually trying to please their ruler, but they were really tired, because you can imagine how much energy it requires to cheer a leader who's about to become the king, and he's done this 3 times. 3 times he has consumed so much energy from the crowd. So then what happens, that the people, after having finally cheered for him for not accepting the crown, they all removed the caps that they were wearing, and because they all removed their caps together, there is a kind of a smell that comes, and that smell, it is said, Casca says, that smell makes Caesar feel very sick, and he faints on spot. And for my own part, he says, he swooned, and for my own part, I durst not laugh for fear of opening my lips. That is, he did not even dare to laugh, because if he would open up his mouth, all that bad air would have gone into his system, his body, and would have made it worse for him. So it's a very funny way in which he narrates the whole incident. Now Cassius gets very shocked hearing that Julius Caesar, he actually, fainted at this time. He's asking again, what did Caesar swoon? Did he actually faint? So Casca says that he fell down in the marketplace and foamed at the mouth and was speechless. So basically, at this time, what had happened to Caesar, in that entire situation, he had actually been having a fit of epilepsy. So he's saying, Brutus says that it's very like he had the falling sickness. See how much he knows about his dear friend. He knows that he's got this problem of getting fits and getting epilepsy. So Cassius says that no, Caesar had it not, but you and I, an honest Casca, we have the falling sickness. That is, they think that they are the ones who are actually people who are sick at heart and mind and body, and they are not capable. But Julius Caesar, because he has the capacity to become the ruler of Rome, he is supposed to be all perfect, because that is what Caesar was believing, that he is the most capable person, the most efficient ruler, and no other person is as efficient as him. So he's saying that if you think from Caesar's point of view, he is all perfect, and we are the ones who've got falling sickness, and we are the ones who are not capable of becoming the rulers of Rome. So Casca says, I know not what you mean by that. So Casca does not understand what he's saying, because he's obviously not heard the conversation that had happened between Cassius and Brutus some time back. But then he says that if, until and unless those common people were really the common people, and they were not employed actors who were acting over here in the situation and purposely making Julius Caesar come to a situation where he would have this fit, whatever I narrated, all that situation was actually true. So Brutus says, what said he when he came onto himself? That is, when Julius Caesar came back to his senses, what was his reaction about the whole scenario? So Casca replies to Brutus's question, saying that before he fell down, he saw that the common crowd was very happy that he had managed to refuse the crown. So he had actually pulled out his coat open, and he had invited them that if you all are so happy, come and cut my throat. That is the reward I give you for being happy of rejecting the crown. So then he says that if Casca had been a person who was from the working class, he would not have thought twice, but he would have taken this opportunity, gone and slit the throat of Julius Caesar. That is what are the thoughts of Casca for Caesar. But because he was someone who's very close to Caesar, he was not able to go ahead with this, and then he fell down after that. Then when Caesar comes back to his senses again, he pleads to the people that if in any way he has either pleased or displeased people, either by the way he spoke, that is by his words, or through his actions, he is very sorry, and they should overlook it as a kind of weakness and forgive Caesar for having fainted at this moment of peak. So at this time, when he's asking for forgiveness, there are 3 or 4 girls who are actually very happy seeing this hero-like figure who's so humble and so nice, and he's asking for forgiveness, that their heart melts, and they actually say what a good man Caesar is, and they show him their willingness to forgive Caesar. But it deserves no serious consideration, because it's actually not right for Caesar to be forgiven, because a ruler technically cannot be weak at this point. So Brutus says, and after that he came thus sad away. So Brutus says that after that Julius Caesar did not say anything, he came quietly away from the situation. So Casca says yes. So Cassius says, did Cicero give any reaction on this situation? So again, Casca's got a good sense of humor. He says that he just spoke in Greek, but Cicero is actually a character over here. So Cassius says, to what effect? That is, what was he talking? So Casca says over here that if I tell you what exactly was being told by Cicero, I will never be able to look at you in the eyes again. I'll never be able to stare back in your eyes. That is how shamefully he was insulting Julius Caesar. But those that understood what Cicero was actually talking at that time, they were just smirking at each other, because even the people somewhere or the other knew what exactly Caesar was capable of, at least at this moment. So then he says, I could tell you more news too. Apart from this situation of that real occurrence that was happening, he's narrating it to Brutus and Cassius. He says that Marullus and Flavius, who had actually been removing scarves or the decorations which had been put up In Act 1, Scene 1, we saw that they have been put to silence. That is, they have been told that they will not be able to or not be allowed to open their mouth again. So then he, bids farewell. So fare you well, he bids a goodbye to them. And then he says that there was more foolery yet, if I could remember it. He's saying that there were more such small instances which were happening here and there. But I'll tell you that some other time. So Cassius says that, will you sup with me tonight, Casca? So he's inviting. Sup over here means supper or dinner. So he invites them for dinner. So Casca says that, no, I'm promised food. That is, he is already promised to have dinner somewhere else. So Cassius says, will you dine with me tomorrow then? So Cassius says that, okay, maybe today you've got an invitation, but tomorrow will you dine with me? So Casca says that, yes, if I be alive, if he's alive tomorrow, he'll definitely come and be ready to dine with Casca. So Cassius says, good, I will expect you. And then Casca says, do so. And then they both bid farewell to each other after having accepted the proposal of having dinner together the next day. And then we see Casca exits from the scene. So at this time they comment about, or rather Brutus comments about Casca, saying that he's become a very blunt fellow. He's lost his glamour, his touch, but in school when he went, he was a very lively person, a more intelligent person. So Cassius says that he's even, lively and bold and blunt even now, but what happens is that he puts on an appearance of being lazy. The rudeness that he has in him is like a sauce, is like that extra element which helps him with his quick wit, and people enjoy the company that he, the company that they share with him. That is the energy that Casca radiates. So Brutus says, and so it is, for this time I will leave you. He's saying that that's all for now. We'll meet tomorrow and I will come home to you, or if you will come home to me, and I'll wait for you. So they both will carry on with their discussion tomorrow, and they both take each other's leave. Now Cassius says that he's going to meet Brutus tomorrow, and then he starts talking to himself alone. That is known as a soliloquy, or a monologue that he's giving. He's talking to himself. He says that, Brutus, you are very noble, but I see that the honorable nature that you have is actually something which is natural. But it is better that noble minds should always keep company with noble people. Like-minded people should be in company together. For who is so determined that he cannot be led away? Because if you are someone who does not associate or is in company with people who think along the same lines as you, there's a tendency of you getting manipulated by another person. Now Caesar is unfriendly to him, but he loves Brutus. If I were Brutus now and he were Cassius, he should not influence me. He's saying that I would never have been influenced if I were in your place. I shall this very night throw in at his window letters written in various handwriting, as if they came from different citizens, and all mentioning the high opinion of Rome that is there. In them Caesar's ambition shall be hinted at. After that, let Caesar see that this position is sure, that we shall either shake his part or submit to the worst times that are likely to come. That is, there is a plan that comes up in the mind of Cassius at this time, that he is going to have letters which will be written in different handwritings, as if there are letters which have been thrown into the window of Brutus, which are written in different handwriting by different citizens, all hinting at the honor of Rome and the disgrace that Caesar is, so that will be another way in which he will be manipulating and brainwashing Brutus. Already he's done it face to face. Now this is the second plan that he has, plan B, of further instigating Brutus towards this direction, so that they don't want to see Caesar become the next ruler. So that is what is the plan that will be executed, and we will see what is the effect of this in the future course of events in the play. So that is all I have to say from Act 1, Scene 2 about the line-by-line meaning and explanation of this scene. I hope I was able to reach out to you properly. I shall see you guys with another interesting topic in my next video. Do like, share, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Aspiring Minds. I shall see you guys on the other side. Thank you for watching. Bye.